our Cónsul, Chief Cónsul here in San Bernardino.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Salomón Rosas, Head Consul of Mexico for San Bernardino and Riverside counties. We serve around 2 million Mexican and Mexican-American people in this region. I'm honored to be invited as a speaker and panelist at this year's LEAD Summit. I truly appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to address such as an important audience. Our recognition to Cal State University San Bernardino, especially to its president, mi amigo Dr. Tomás Morales, and my tocayo, Dr. Enrique Murillo, both recipients of one of Mexico's highest commendation, the Autry Award, given to those who stand out for their contribution and service in favor of the Mexican community abroad. Greetings from our Secretary of State, Luis Videgaray, who has given me very precise instructions in these uncertain times to reinforce existing bonds and strengthen our alliances in order to better protect and defend our people and work harder to improve their quality of life. I have been invited to talk to you briefly about Mexico's new educational model. But before we get started, allow me to share with you very quickly a general overview on Mexico's diplomatic and consular presence in the world. We maintain relations with 190 states and have 150 representations all around the world. The strongest diplomatic presence of any nation in any country is Mexico in the US, with 50 consulates, 10 of them here in California. 38% of our diplomatic and consular offices are in North America, US and Canada, and 41% of our corps are based here. This wide presence conforms a privileged platform for very important and meaningful day-to-day consular services. As you may know, at the consular offices, we issue passports, consular IDs, also called matriculas, birth documents, powers of attorney, work and student visas, also protection and legal aid, dual citizenships, notarial attestation. Other very important functions at the consulate are political dialogue, public diplomacy, promotion and common interests, and a close relation with the Mexican diaspora. And it is precisely under this possibility that we are addressing these times. To better accomplish our mission, we are called to strengthen our collaboration with all authorities, elected officials, stakeholders, community organizations, and especially with the academic community, the universities, researchers, teachers, and students, where the diversity, the talent, and the potential of a migrant's country is best expressed. Now, putting in context the educational model, first we have to elaborate on Mexico's most ambitious reforms in near a century, the structural reforms. In order to foster economic growth, which in the past 3 decades had averaged only 2.4% per year, it was necessary to launch fundamental reforms in strategic sectors that complement and strengthen each other. These reforms tackle three main challenges. Under this directive, 11 reforms that you see on the screen were passed, every single one of them of the utmost importance. Foster a more competitive economy, labor, economy, competitiveness, telecommunications, fiscal, tax, energy. The energy reform represented a new institutional model to face the challenges of a country that has 60% of its population in poverty conditions, that needs to grow at a 5% rate annually. Strengthen political institutions, political and electoral, transparency and access to public information, anti-corruption system. The anti-corruption reform, which settles the national anti-corruption systems, gives more abilities to the Federal Audit Office, modernizes the administrative justice, and strengthens the public powers in charge of corruption cases. Expanding social rights for all Mexicans, universal pension, unemployment insurance, education. The main responsibility of a government that is really working for the people is to build the basis for a sustained social development. Under the leadership of President Enrique Peña Nieto and the three main political parties' goodwill and collaboration, all the previous reforms were possible. Nonetheless, all those efforts would be in vain without the human factor, because all the expected results and benefits are for the Mexican people. That's why the educational reform set out to improve and modernize education. This transformation involved a constitutional amendment and changes to existing laws that will transform our society and create greater opportunities for millions of children and youngsters. Even though our country may only see the true benefits of this education reform in the medium and long terms. This might be the most important reform of all, to improve our human capital and its positive effects for fostering development. The key areas of the reform are evaluation, the professionalization of teachers, and administrative autonomy for public education. Now, I want to share with you a 5-minute informative video that sums up the new model of education implemented in Mexico.
During the Mexican Revolution of 1910, 7 out of every 10 Mexicans did not know how to read or write, and the main challenge was to provide education for all citizens. 1 century later, we have coverage for primary and secondary education of almost 100%. Moreover, every year, even more people begin their high school and university education. We have advanced as a country. However, the world around us keeps changing, and today we face new challenges. Knowledge is moving fast, and technology has changed the way we think and work. It is safe to say that if yesterday the number of natural resources defined how a country was poised to succeed, today innovation is the key to remain competitive. That is why, in order to move forward, it is urgent to change the way we teach. If we would like our kids to continue to develop their skills and abilities, they cannot learn the same way their parents and grandparents did. We are in need of a real educational revolution. To achieve this, we had to review how Mexican students were learning in the past. With that in mind, the educational reform began by conducting community research that allowed the creation of a new pedagogical proposition that emanates from a fundamental premise: kids first. In July of 2016, we introduced this proposition. and it was analyzed for many months by teachers, principals of public and private schools, parents, academics, non-governmental organizations, businessmen, legislators, children and teenagers, INE, CINTE, schools of education, speakers of indigenous languages, as well as other federal entities. Then CIDE, the organization responsible for organizing and polling these opinions, captured more than 300,000 commentaries. Taking into consideration all of these opinions, we present the new educational model. The main goal of the model is that all children, regardless of their socioeconomic status, can develop to their maximum potential the skills they require to succeed in the 21st century. What we seek to accomplish is to educate for liberty and creativity. Curricular approach. In the past, education required that you absorb and retain as much information and knowledge as possible. Today, there is so much information readily available that memorizing all of it is insufficient. Instead, it has become even more important to learn how to reason and think critically and how to solve complex problems. Therefore, the pedagogical approach introduced by this model is that students learn how to learn. This means that the new curricula will primarily focus on key subjects so that our kids may continue to learn them for the rest of their lives. These include, but are not limited to, Spanish, if applicable, the indigenous languages of the community, math, English, science and social studies, arts, and physical education. Also included are the exploration of socio-emotional abilities, such as knowing oneself, self-esteem and perseverance, knowing how to work and interact with others. The school as the focus of the educational system. In order for this new model to succeed, we are planning a reorganization of the educational system in order to place school at the center of all efforts. This means that schools have more autonomy regarding the planning of the curriculum and the way they teach. That way, every school can begin to look for the best way to develop the maximum potential of their students. For schools to become more efficient regarding their functionality and to be able to create authentic learning communities, we foresee that they may have their own budget, a worthy infrastructure, a complete roster of teachers, and less bureaucracy. At the same time, the model offers pedagogic support that they may require in the classrooms. Teacher training and development. This means that we must professionalize the work that teachers output. Teachers are the most important actors in this field and are in the classrooms every day. They are who inspire and guide our students. Therefore, the new educational model proposes new teacher training and development with clear rules based on merit in which the best students will become teachers. Once they begin their work, they will have periodic evaluations. Those who bring their best work are recognized, and all will have access to continuous quality training which will help them to enhance their teaching methods. Equity and inclusion. The new model also seeks to break the chains of inequality and discrimination in the educational system so that all kids and teenagers, regardless of their gender, origin, beliefs, or disability, may be able to develop their best potential. Equity and inclusion must become the cross-cutting principles at the core of the educational system. That is why the model states that infrastructure must be enhanced in the most needed schools, scholarships to be awarded to those who need them most, that people with disabilities go to inclusive schools, that indigenous communities and languages be taken seriously, and that all girls have the same opportunities as boys. The governing of the educational system. Finally, the new educational model recognizes the plurality of actors involved in education and the necessity that they should coordinate in an efficient way so that their participation has the biggest impact. These actors are the federal government, the local educational authorities, INE, CINTE, teachers, parents, civil society, and the legislative government. Making this educational revolution a reality is a complex and gradual process. It must develop in a democratic manner which takes into consideration the diversity of Mexico, but with a clear goal, that all boys, girls, and teens will obtain an integral and quality education that will prepare them for the society of the 21st century. The time is now. Kids first. Secretariat of Public Education, Government of the Republic.
Thank you. Under this new model, Mexican government keeps defending the free and mandatory education right for all Mexican students. Furthermore, the model will bring the students into the 21st century since they will develop the competence and skills of a modern and global society. With the reform and its new model, students will be prepared to continue in a more respectful, diverse, fair, and equal society. Finally, the educational new model has its core the idea that the present is first, and Mexican students are the present of the country. The time is now, kids first. Primero el presente, primero los niños. Thanks again to the Cal State system, and count on us, Dr. Murillo, as your allies and friends in any effort in favor of the educational wellness of our fellow Mexican kids. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, mi estimado. We want to take this moment, if you can, mi estimado, sorry, sit down, but really we want you to stand right here.
Oh, thank you.
With much gratitude, Enrique Salomón, for your accomplishments and service to our community, on behalf of LEAD and our university, we would like to award you our Medallion of Honor. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tocayo.
Sí, mi estimado Tocayo.
Muchas gracias a todos. Es un verdadero honor recibir esta medalla. Gracias al sistema de Cal State, particularmente a ti, Enrique. Thank you. It's really an honor y la recibo con todo el cariño y con la representación del Gobierno de México. Muchas gracias. Gracias.
Gracias.